my health, I went from being a top racquetball player, women's racquetball player in the state, to I could barely walk. I was sleeping all the time. I was in a lot of pain, headaches. My system was just shut down. I couldn't think. I couldn't look at something with 3 words and take those 3 words and type it someplace else. I had to keep looking back at the one word and get that in. I mean, it was just so extreme. I couldn't remember anything, and I was used to remembering things for years, and that was gone. It was just a struggle, and I kept breaking everything because I thought I was there, but then when I would go to reach for that glass, I wasn't there, and I would knock it over and it would break. And it was just, I mean, it was crazy. I went from this real healthy, athletic, on the go 24/7 type person to I couldn't hardly get out of bed, and I couldn't think. I had no motivation. And so I remember calling and talking to, because I did some research and talking to your receptionist, and she said, "Oh, you have to do this first 15-minute consultation or whatever." And I said to her, "I don't need that. I already know that I have Lyme's. I have all the symptoms and not just a little bit. And we just need to get started."
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. I remember that. It was so, I mean, the fatigue obviously just hit you because you went from being so active to down, but then you had all these nerve problems that just were driving you banana. I mean, you were really aggravated with how frustrating your brain was. I remember you just the emotion that came out that day of just like, this is not
This is not
me. This is my, yeah, this is not me.
that first day in your office, and my husband was with me. He looked at the list of things for Lyme's that was on your wall, and he goes, "She has every one of those, a lot." And I just want my wife back. You ran your initial test, and you were just kind of like, without saying, "Wow, you're really sick." You're like, "Well, let's get the labs going right away, and let's get this going right away." And then when the labs came back, you immediately called to schedule that first,
Yeah.
real appointment, because I was so sick.
We ran tests on you and got your test results. And pretty clearly, I think you had three, right? Did you have the classic three, the Lyme, Bart, and Babesia, right? That's kind of the big three. Yeah, all your symptoms were really exaggerated. They were really big. And I
Well,
remember your husband telling me that, like, this isn't like, I just want her fixed, because that's what happened to me too, right? Like it was my family member. And so I was looking at you guys, like thinking back to my situation with my wife going like, I have been the frustrated husband trying to be like, I just need to find someone who can help. This is
right.
not the person I've been with for so many years. This is great. This is so foreign to, your husband was like, this is just so foreign to who she is.
Yeah, it's not her.
Okay, so we found it on the test, pretty clear.
Oh
And
yeah.
then run me through like when did you start to feel better and how long did it kind of take? Because we're now I look we're several years removed from when I first met you.
Yes, yes. It was a journey because I had so many different bugs. You said, we're going to start with a few of them and eliminate a few of them. I would consider it the low-hanging fruit to give you some quick wins. And
Mhm.
but we can't do everything at once. Because I had a pretty extreme, and they were all medium to medium high, and it was like, ooh, I did feel a difference within probably the first 3, 6 months. I mean, it wasn't huge, but at the same time, it was a difference. It was, you know,
Right. Well,
and,
because we
and
get that first retest usually around 6 months, right? And I remember having that conversation because at that point we really only had, I would say, very mild improvements.
yeah,
Some
yeah,
improvement, a little better. But as we said, at 6 months, it was still, I would use the word mild. Is that fair?
yeah, I was still really sick. And it was the only thing I could do was my job. And that was barely. I religiously took every one of those supplements. And I could feel the progress. I had a long way to go, but I could feel I was moving in the right direction.
Awesome. Like, when did you start to get back to, living life more, where we made enough momentum to where, more full speed at work and doing some of those activities? When did you kind of get to that point? Like, bring me forward to that point in time.
At a year, I thought I was doing better because, I was a lot better than I was. Um, but it really was about a year and a half. And I went, oh, oh, wow, look, I'm leaving the house. I'm able to work a full day and get some personal stuff done. And, I'm still not at full capacity, but I don't have to look at 3 words and try and remember them and actually write them down and then go back to where I'm trying to, put that information in. My life, I do a lot of proposals and a lot of spreadsheets and I was finally able to carry the concepts mentally from one, piece of information or document to another, and just free flow. So it was, I was better. And my husband and I took a trip to France. I still had to, have my rest days. We couldn't go all out, but I was able to go on a trip and we had a great time.
And I remember you were nervous for that trip.
I was because, it's one thing to be sitting at my desk, but it's another to be out and about, a full day. And
Mhm.
because my stamina was still just tanked. So
Yeah, that's often the last thing to come back is people after they're sick, right? It's you have the function, you start to get the function back,
yeah,
but you can't do it all day or can't do it as long as you used to do it. That's usually what takes the most amount of time. And you're kind of a shining example of that. You got more and more function. How
yes.
are you now? How's the stamina now? How much better are you now? Where are you at? Because this is now, gosh, are we 2.5 years
And a half
now?
years. Yeah,
Okay,
yes.
so how much better are you now at this at 2.5 years? Where are we at?
I am like 90, 95%. My brain is back. My ADD is back, multiple thoughts running through the head. And my output, for work is amazing. I'm very creative. And I am, I'm doing Pilates a couple times a week. I'm at the gym lifting weights. It's just such a difference. My hand swelling are gone, and my feet and ankles and all that swelling that was going on is gone. And I remember what I did yesterday. I remember what I did last week. I can remember a month ago, and my long-term memory is back.
The memory is, if I'm remembering correctly, what really frustrated your husband
Oh yeah.
because he was trying to have conversations and it was like he was having conversations with you and he was like, we talked about this, and you were like, I have no
I don't
these,
remember.
right? It was a huge frustrating point in not only your, I mean, just it was frustrating in all your relationships, that one included.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. And I'm like, wow, am I getting Alzheimer's? What's going on?
And now that's so much better.
I am there, which is amazing.
What was your experience with other health professionals when you were, not feeling well before we figured out it was Lyme and we started down this road? What did that look like?
I saw my GP. Also went to the emergency room at one point. I was having heart palpitations and, all this stuff. And they put me on the 3-week Lyme's, drug. They're like, well, you're not testing positive, but we'll just put you on this anyway. And the first week, made a difference. By the second week, I was drifting back. The third week, it was nothing. And that happened a few times. I got put on that. And it was just nobody, really could figure out what it was. They ran a bunch of tests and, no, you look good. You are so healthy compared to the rest of the population. And I am like, no, I am not. There is something wrong with me. And they couldn't, the test didn't show it. Because our healthcare system does not understand Lyme's and all the co-infections, and they can't test for it.
Yeah, I didn't either originally, right? Because remember, I missed it on my wife for years because I didn't know it either.
Yeah.
Most people are in this space, the default that you're taught is not very good, and you don't know that unless you get a personal experience that opens your eyes. It's one reason why I'm so passionate about good testing, because you're telling me you're not normal, your husband's telling me you're not normal, you have all these crazy symptoms, and then doctors go, you're perfectly fine on
Yes.
testing, and it's like, no, I'm so then it should be something's wrong, we need to find it, because obviously something dramatically is wrong. And
Right.
I often think running bad testing is even more misleading than just running no testing. And you were an example, so they just really couldn't find anything on you. But I also want to highlight, they did the doxycycline several times on you and it really didn't work.
No, it wasn't working at all.
The short answer is, guys, by then the antibiotics really, their chance of working is very low. But most doctors don't know that. They don't
Yeah.
know that it doesn't work when you're 3 years late. It's just not, a 3 week course of antibiotics is not going to do it. So you were someone who I really wanted to do this because you do have Crohn's at the same time. And you'd kind of looked at doing, the high antibiotic route, because that is a way to get rid of ticks. I think it's a very difficult way. And the proposition of taking multiple high dose antibiotics for a long time for someone who already has Crohn's is very hard on your gut.
I knew it was going to be a challenge. The nutrition panel, along with the what I'll just call the bug panel, the different tests that you ran, and tracking all of that and seeing what I was missing from my system, and how I was absorbing, because of the Crohn's, which keeps things a little lowered. I never really got sick from the like the hercs or whatever that they call it. The all of a sudden you can't function because of the supplements. Um, I remember the wormwood like a year and a half into it. It was a short thing. It was needed to blow out one of those bugs. But that was probably the toughest one. And you had me on, something that would keep my system feeling good, my belly. And like you said, we can't do it all at once. So it was a process. As we got rid of some, we then attacked others. We gradually got to the really tough ones, and all along making sure that my nutrition was good.
We were going, okay, this is probably going to slow you down though, which
Yeah.
which is what happens if I have someone who has Lyme plus some other condition.
Yeah.
It just, we tried to do things a little slower and methodically and as safe and careful as we could, which inherently did make things, you took a little more time than the average
Yeah.
person, and you kind of made progress on our timeline, even though we had a little bit of a, it was a little bit slower than an average timeline. I thought it went
It went
as
great.
smooth as we could have hoped for, really.
I was a challenge. I was a challenge. And my Crohn's feels like it's gone. I mean, I don't have the gut issues that I was having, um, with the Crohn's, and I think it's because of the balanced nutrition and, the way that you approached it. Um, it's my system, my physical system is healthy.
Yes. Getting the food right and getting the bugs right and getting the nutrition right and getting all that
Yeah.
right. And that's really what it is for so many people. It's trying to put enough pieces together.
The nutrition, along with the staggered approach to eliminating the bugs, and healing the whole cell and not just getting rid of the bugs, was huge.
So, well, thank you. Is
Yeah.
there anything you'd like to say to people who might be sick in seeing this? And remember kind of that feeling of, kind
Desperation.
of, it's a good word. What would you say to those people who are still sick and maybe seeing this?
Oh my gosh. I would come see Dr. Warren, because he can help you. And I was at my wit's end trying to figure out what was wrong. And at the same time, I didn't experience the negative effects of that that it can happen when you're getting rid of the bugs and the bad stomach aches and all that kind of stuff. I am so grateful for Dr. Warren and his knowledge and his team. I'm back.
You're back.
Yeah, I'm back. And I am so delighted to be back and grateful for your help.
Thank you so much, Kerry. Thanks for sharing your story. And it's fun to see you better.
All right,
Thank you, Kerry.
later. Bye-bye.